Grocery prices keep getting higher, but our grocery budget has not changed. And I just realized that our grocery budget ended up being $4.50 per person per day. In this video, we're going to talk about some of the things that I have changed to make this budget continue to work for us, even with the rising cost of groceries, and how we're still eating really well and a variety of meals. There is going to be timestamps in the description if you want to skip ahead, but I think it's really important that I share part of my story in this video also. If you're just meeting me, my name is 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐒 and this is the 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐒 Legacy. The 𝐂𝐻𝐿𝐒 Legacy is our family motto. It's our last name, and we've always had a calling on our heart to make a generational change. So for the last 28 years that we've been married, that has been our family motto. And when I decided to make social media and a YouTube, that was easily the name that I picked. I never realized that those years that we dealt with a financial crisis, mostly because of some medical expenses that we were under, that would give me a place of knowledge to know how to save money on groceries. And we've been able to stick to that grocery budget throughout all of these years, even though our finances have changed. And it's really became this platform now that I can talk to other families and bring hope back to your kitchen, that you can have quality items for your family and make a variety of different meals. I decided to make this video because I read every single one of your guys' questions and comments. And this question had came through this morning, and I want to put it up on the screen and read it exactly to you. And I'm going to go through exactly how things have changed for us and what we have bought differently and how we're able to still have those quality items in our house. I'm curious about how your purchases have changed over the 10 years you have kept to your budget per person at $135. Have you changed brands, changed what you eat? Did having more people allow you to buy bulk and therefore make serving cheaper per person? Our budget for 5 has increased dramatically. My kids are still at home and adult size now, so obviously more food has to be purchased. But even with shifting brands, buying way less prepared and processed foods, and preparing far more of our meals, our food budget has increased. Yesterday, I noticed another significant jump in prices at Sam's for some of our staples, so I'm reevaluating our purchases again. The budget is maxed out, so that just can't change right now. So that comment coming in is what has sparked this whole video, and I know I have put over 700 videos on this channel, but not everybody has heard my story. As I said, Mike and I have been married for 28 years, and for most of those times I worked whenever I was able to. We've raised our own family and we had foster kids, and at other times we also had other members of the family living with us. So our family size changes based on the season of life that we're in. A little bit of the medical history of me is I have reflective sympathetic dystrophy, which has meant that I have been in a wheelchair, have to use a walker. For 2 years of my life, when my kids were in elementary school, I couldn't open my hands. They were clawed shut, and that's the season of our life that my dad ended up moving in with us to help take care of making sure that I was fed every day because I couldn't feed myself. And so we have went through some major struggles financially in our lives and through medical costs, and it has just been a roller coaster. But through this entire time, I've really realized that having food security in our house has brought me a lot of peace. If you want to learn more about my specific chronic illness, I talk about it more in my TED Talk. We also put a video up this summer that we will make sure to link in the description. So when we were in the middle of one of these financial crises, 18 years ago, we sat down and we really figured out exactly what we could afford. So with Mike's paycheck and me not bringing in any income, we figured out that we could afford exactly $100 per person for groceries. And that was just the bare necessities of everything that we needed. And at that time is also when I realized that household purchases would be separate from making sure that we had the groceries we needed in the house. So our family size has varied from being 2, 3, 4, 8 at one time, and then gradually going back down as our kids have moved out. And for a long time, I was able to keep to that grocery budget of $100 per person. Way back in the day, we used to do Dave Ramsey and did the cash envelope systems where I was taking cash to the grocery store. Over the years, we decided to switch that to a debit account. So I have one debit account that is strictly for just groceries. We don't use that grocery money for anything else. It is not for takeout. It's not for stopping anywhere. It's only for those ingredients that we need in our house. And then if I do want something else at the grocery store that is like napkins, I will do that on a household grocery budget. But I was just honestly laughing about that when I went to the grocery store this month because I bought napkins for the first time in a really long time because normally I will just use a dish towel instead of a napkin. So cleaning supplies, supplements, those kind of things, those are separate from the groceries, which is the ingredients that we need to make meals in our home. And we have lots of other videos on how I break that out and figure all the different things out. So make sure that you're hitting subscribe and you can see other budget kind of videos, and all of my grocery hauls that I've done for the last couple of years are here on this channel. I don't remember exactly when it was. It was around 2015, 2016. We realized that we had some severe allergies in our family too. So when all of my kids are home, we are soy, gluten, dairy, raw sugar cane, one vegetarian, and I'm a diabetic in the house. So we realized that we needed to start really focusing on the ingredients that we were bringing in and not just buying whatever we could afford at the time. I started swapping things that I was buying and making sure that they were allergy friendly and that they weren't triggering my RSD. I do try to purchase as much as possible organic. 80% is what I say. I try to give myself 20% grace. But at the end of the day, the most important thing is that our family is fed and that we have food in our house. So just because I choose not to buy something that has a lot of ingredients in it or a can of something doesn't mean that it's not right for your family. I hope that you're able to watch my videos and take what you need to take to help make changes in your life. So it was around that 9-year mark when I ended up bumping up the grocery budget to $135 per person. At that time, we were a family of 4, and I was making sure that I was buying everything organic as I could possibly do, but then also this new journey of being a gluten-free family. Now, my gluten-free kiddo has moved away, so I don't have to worry about that as much, but I still stuck to trying to get things that have less ingredients in them, and it really opened up my eyes as a mom of an allergy mom to start looking at the ingredients and seeing how many fillers and chemicals and additives were added to some of the products that I was buying. Now, I am a mom of an allergy family. One of those things that I noticed was all of a sudden my kiddo was getting sick from something that I was making pretty regularly, and that was chicken noodle soup. And I knew everything else that I was putting into the soup was totally safe for them. And then I realized that the ingredients on the brand of chicken broth that I was buying, they had changed and made it where it was unsafe for them. Which, you know, you look at a brand that you normally grab and you think it's always going to be safe. It made me really realize that every single time I had to look at the container. But at the same time, I was realizing how much those prices were going up on getting higher quality chicken broth, and it's free to make it your own. So I've learned over the years now that I make my own broths and stocks, which has saved a lot of money, and I'm not adding any other additives and chemicals to our meals. I have a really hard time saying this, so if I say it wrong, we might cut it out. But something else that I don't use is chicken and beef bouillon. I can't say it. Bouillon. How do you say that? I have a really hard time pronouncing this, but you'll also notice that none of my recipes and what I'm cooking uses different bouillon. You'll notice that a lot of my recipes don't use any I can't say it. Bouillon. Bouillon. I'm laughing because I cannot say this word. We have tried it 10 times. You will notice a lot of my recipes that I don't use any chicken or beef bouillon. So you can laugh at me that I have a hard time saying that, but I'm not judging anybody that does use it. I prefer to use stock that we make that is full of nutrients and good things for you. And those jars of seasoning are normally just full of chemicals. So I'm not wasting money on things that are just seasoning and not really necessarily good for you. One thing I do use for seasoning is this garlic and herb seasoning. I use this all the time, and this is kind of one of my mandatory, I have to have it in the kitchen. We use, garlic and herb, salt and pepper, almost in everything. But this has had a 29% increase in cost over the last few years. So this is a priority that I do make sure that I have it all the time, but I'm not getting some of those specialty other blends that I used to pick up at Costco that were kind of fun, like buttery lemon, different seasonings, or different steak seasonings. I try to really stick to the basics and organic as much as I can. Another thing that I do is I make sure that I buy things in bulk that I know that I'm going to use over the course of the next 5 years. I know that I'm going to go through a couple pounds worth of Italian seasoning, and so I can buy that in bulk, store it in glass jars, and it will stay fresh the entire time. And so over the course of years, I end up saving money on those. I also make a lot of my own spice blends instead of buying things that might have additives and fillers in them. Again, that way I know I can control the ingredients and I can control the price of it. So I can make taco seasoning or fajita seasoning or any kind of salad dressing is super easy. And since I just said salad dressing, we'll just kind of move straight on to ranch. That seems like one that a lot of families are struggling trying to find a clean one to buy. And it's so easy to make with just some spices that are in your drawer and some Greek yogurt and add some milk to it. You can make a ranch dressing that's even high protein to serve to your family. So I really limited the extra items I've bought for condiments and spices, and I have focused on buying higher quality ingredients, especially when I can get it at a lower price and know that it can last a long time, but especially when it's a versatile item I can use many ways. And then for salad dressings and condiments, that's something that we do buy occasionally, but not very often. And when I do get it on sale, I try to make sure that it's on sale, but I don't necessarily open it right away. So I try to only have one salad dressing or one barbecue sauce in the refrigerator at a time, which saves a lot of space in the refrigerator, but also it stays fresh for way past the best by date if it's unopened. So a salad dressing will normally stay fresh for around 12 to 18 months after that best by date. So especially around the summertime, we make sure that we're stocking up on barbecue sauce, and I will know I have enough barbecue sauce for the whole year. Some of those items that I always have and I buy every time I go to Costco, which is once a month, is I get cottage cheese and Greek yogurt. Again, we can use those many different ways. I stopped buying sour cream until this last time because there was no Greek yogurt, but normally I will buy Greek yogurt, which we can sweeten up. We can put different berries in it and eat it as a flavored yogurt, or I can use it as sour cream. I'm using it in my baking. I'm using it to thicken sauces up, and so it gets used up before it goes bad, and that way I always know that I have something in the fridge that's a versatile item that we can use. And one of the things that we stopped buying was like flavored yogurt, and we are reaching for the Greek yogurt more, and also cottage cheese. So cottage cheese with fruit on it is something that Mike will eat oftentimes for a snack. I do not like it plain like that. So I use it mostly when I'm blending it in to thicken up sauces or for baked goods. We just filmed a high protein pumpkin muffin, which used cottage cheese, and I think that's going to go up like the next day after this video gets posted. So make sure that you're checking that out too. The different ways that I'm using seasonal produce and those basic ingredients that we have all the time. Something else that I buy all the time and make sure that we have it is I buy some sort of tortilla. So we either have flour tortillas that are taco size, burrito size, or some corn tortillas in the house, but I have found multiple different ways to use those, and I don't necessarily always buy bread. And with that, I stopped buying crunchy taco shells because we weren't going through a whole box of them, and I was finding that by the time I go to use it the second time, they were stale. And that kind of led me into starting to buy tortilla chips. So normally every other time I go to Costco, I will buy a big bag of the tortilla chips. I actually have a jar in the cupboard here we'll grab out. But a jar of the tortilla chips, those will last in a gallon-sized jar for over 2 months. If we're having nachos or Crunchwrap Supremes, I can sneak a couple chips in there and have that crunchy taste that we want. So we don't buy a lot of snacks here in the house. I normally have a bag of chips. And then as I'm going through the grocery store and get all the things that we need, if there is still some extra money in the budget, then sometimes I will grab an extra bag of something as a treat. So I tease that it's Mike's bribe to bring in the groceries when we can afford it. I buy one extra thing. Sometimes it's pretzels, but for the most part, we're not buying very many packaged items. And I'm going to do this without crying. So we used to be foster parents, and when the kiddos came into my house, we're a very single ingredient kind of house. And the kids that came in, there was 4 under 7, and they were very much a house of granola bars and fruit snacks, and that is what they survived on. And so they only knew snacks from the cupboard, and they came into our house and learned snacks from the fridge. So that was actually how, at the time that we started putting strawberries in a jar and all the different fruit in a jar and not in plastic containers, was when those littles moved in with us, and I could stand at the refrigerator with 4 of them at my feet and say, do you want red or blue? And they could look in the containers and see the prepped items. But I didn't realize that I raised my own kids with the importance of eating a rainbow every day, and that snacks came from the fridge until we had the littles move in with us. So it was a drastic change right away for them, but it wasn't safe for my kids to have the packaged snacks in the house because we're an allergy family. So as much as I would have loved to be able to give them more of the things that they were used to, they did adapt pretty quickly to learning how to eat wholesome food. So if you are dealing with trying to change some of your habits at your house with yourself or your husband or your kids, know that it might not happen all at once. It might need to be a little bit more gradual, but as you are bringing more wholesome food into your house, it does become the standard. And even as my kids have moved away, they have taken these skills into their home, and I'm so proud of them. So here at the house, we teach that snacks come from the fridge. So that is the first thing that we do, is we are going to the fridge for a snack and not into a cupboard. Really, there's ingredients in my cupboard and 1 bag of chips. So all the good things are happening in the fridge, and that's just a really great lesson to teach them. If you've been following me at all for the last couple of months, you know that we sold our house and we have moved 4 hours away from where we grew up to where our kids live now, which also means they are stopping by all of the time. One Sunday, one of them came over 3 times in the day. So when I say that they're stopping in all of the time, it's so lovely, and we're having impromptu meals, and I'm able to stretch out dinners. It hasn't changed our grocery budget, but one of those tricks that I taught them, that Mom always has cheese in the fridge, made me run out of cheese last month. So normally I have single serve cheese in the house. When they were little, I taught them we only used those when we left the house. But over the last couple of years, since we weren't eating it as much, it was easy just to buy 1 bag of the Tillamook single serve, and it would last us the whole entire month. Well, the kiddos have been coming over more and going straight for the cheese in the refrigerator. And for a second, I was debating whether or not I was going to change my grocery budget and allot for the extra cheese usage, or how often we're having people over compared to before. And I just realized that I needed to change some of my ways. So instead of buying the single serve cheese, I bought a 5-pound block of cheese and will happily slice slices to hand out at any time. And other things that I do all of the time, and I teach in my meals series where I show you how I'm making batch cooked meals, but also stretching out that meat budget, is that I'm adding vegetables and lentils and beans to our meat to make sure that it stretches out a little bit more. It's adding more nutrients to it, and it's getting my husband to eat some more vegetables. These are things that I've always done to try to get him to eat more vegetables, but it really does drastically help stretch out that meat budget. And just last night, we had a friend over for dinner, and I noticed that I only pulled out 2 chicken breasts that were defrosting and wanted them to stay for dinner. So all I did was just chop up the chicken, and it was easy for the 3 of us to share those 2 chicken breasts, and nobody complained. Some of the other things that we do is we have realized that we don't really need cereal. This is something that I definitely realized since becoming diabetic, that cereal will just skyrocket my blood sugars and it messes with me all day long. Now, Mike would be happy to live on Cocoa Pebbles if I let him, but it's really not that great for either one of us. But I do believe in having some cereal and shelf-stable milk in our house at all times. So normally 2 times a year, I will buy a large box of Cocoa Pebbles for him. And he doesn't get to eat that until I buy the second box. So normally when he goes to eat it, it's about 6 months old. But I really believe in having food security in our house. And cereal is one of those things that if you're dealing with a power outage, you can hand your family cereal and milk at any time of the day and they will be happy. So for breakfast most of the time, we do normally have eggs. And I normally add some protein to my coffee to bump that up a little bit because I do like coffee every single day. But I have noticed things that I'm not buying that I used to buy is I'm not buying half and half or creamer hardly ever anymore. And so whenever we do have creamer, it is a special treat. But I do like my coffee tan and not black. And so we buy the A2 whole organic milk, which ends up staying fresh a little bit longer in the refrigerator. And that I use in my coffee. And since we're not buying cereal all the time, we're not going through the milk as quickly. Something I have noticed that I've had to cut back on is having bacon in the house. We used to joke that I had a bacon buffer in the freezer, that I always had a couple packages of it that I kept rotating. And since the pandemic, the price has skyrocketed so much and our family size is smaller. But I have realized when I get the bacon, I will divide it into smaller packages and only pull out what we need, and we're having it less often. I hope this helps answer some of the questions on how things are kind of changing for us, but we're still sticking to that grocery budget, just trying to think about things a little bit differently. And if I have to make some changes, then I do. But I really have had a calling on my heart all year to work on that meals series videos. That meals video series, we're up to video number 20 on that, and it really goes through every single different dinner that I've made through this whole entire year, with some breakfast and lunch ideas in there too, and some snacks that we have. So if you want to follow that playlist, it's a really great place to see some different inspiration for having ingredients in your house and how you can mix up the meals that you have. And our grocery budget is $135 per person. We're a family of 2, so our grocery budget is $270 per month. We have lived in the Seattle area our whole entire lives, which is one of the highest living costs in the whole country. So we are normally a lot higher than other places, but even moving over here to Eastern Washington, which things are much slower, I've had to make some changes with that too. I have been able to score some really great deals, especially here at the end of the farmers market season when the produce stands are closing down. But I am driving like 45 minutes to go to those produce stands. So it is a sacrifice to make that trip. It's not just an easy, I'll run around the block and pick up something from the store. And I'm buying seasonal produce, things that I know that are going to last for a long time, or I can put it in the freezer and use them all year long. Those kind of changes are a little bit different for us. I'm so glad that we have spent about the last 10 years working towards not going to the grocery store every single day and pushing it out where we were going to the grocery store maybe 2 to 3 times a week. And then we pushed it out even further where it was every 2 to 3 weeks. I still say I go grocery shopping every 3 weeks, but it's normally at the 4-week mark. And so we have been filming all of these videos, even breaking down how much I'm spending and how much I have left over. But if I was going to the grocery stores that were in our town, the prices are actually a lot higher because we live so far away from a larger city that they're able to charge a lot more being in the small town. So really being able to stock up on the ingredients that we need and know that we always have what we need here at home helps us so much. I hear my grandpa's voice all of the time in my head. Instead of getting takeout or going to restaurants, I just try to remember we have food at home. And having reflective sympathetic dystrophy, I don't always have good days. I have some really hard days, some days that I can barely get off of the couch. They are better than they have been, but even this summer I dealt with a really bad flare-up, and it was the middle of summer, which was just kind of an unusual time for me. Normally during the winter months is when it hits me the most, but I deal with pain almost every single day. So those days that I'm having a better day and I can make dinner and make it where I can have 2 or 3 extra servings in the freezer has been a game changer for us, not getting takeout. So I'm able to always have stocked meals in the freezer that we're able to rotate easily and have meals ready to go. And soon we're rushing this video out. Like, I saw this comment this morning, we are going to get this video out like in the next 48 hours. But soon we are going to have a video out, I think in a couple days after this video, talking about all the meals that I've batch cooked over the last 6 weeks since we've been here in this house. So please share the Cross Legacy with friends. Help other friends and family members that are struggling with groceries to find our channel. I am truly here to try to help you guys save money on groceries and reduce that stress that comes with having food security in your house. I really believe in having food security in your house just relieves so much stress off of our shoulders. And if you can share this video and the Cross Legacy with other friends and family members, it just helps us grow and be able to reach more families. Make sure you are hitting subscribe for yourself and asking questions in those comments. I do spend hours every single day trying to make sure that all of the questions and comments that are answered, and I can send you links to different videos that answer your questions or recipes that we already have on the blog, or like today, that question that got asked made this video.